And as we revisit communities hit hard by Irene 1 year ago, we can't forget about the emotional toll that the tragedy has taken. And in that way, the recovery is far from over. Geoffrey Stein is a volunteer firefighter in Clarksville. He spent much of that day knocking on neighbors' doors to see if they needed help. It was his wife who died a short time later in the flood. And on this somber anniversary, we have an exclusive interview as the town remembers Sharon Stein.
On a quiet day, you can hear the trickle of the Anesquitha Creek over the rocks from the footbridge above. But the peace this seemingly serene place used to bring Geoffrey Stein is long gone.
I never thought it was going to come over this wall.
In fact, the creek is a constant reminder of everything he lost when Irene slammed into Clarksville. He recalls August 28, 2011, starting out as Sundays usually did.
Sharon was an organist, and she had a job in Rensselaer, and she was dressed and ready to go.
But with the rain pounding down, the wind whipping, and streets washed out, it was clear they weren't going anywhere, except to the emergency shelter to evacuate.
Things went downhill from there. I was still putting some things together. She went outside, and I never saw her again.
It didn't take long for news of Sharon being swept away to spread, and the pain was paralyzing.
I remember standing out that particular day, standing out in the rain, just absolutely shocked, unable to even comprehend what to do next.
Susan D. lives up the hill and has written stories about the flood, focusing on the heartbreak of losing a friend.
You said the emotions are still raw.
Yeah. Very much so.
As Susan will point out, looking at Clarksville now, you wouldn't even know there was such a storm. A year later, roads that were torn up have been smoothed over and repaired. Flooded homes dried out and fixed up.
But you don't see Sharon in the window, and you don't see Sharon on her porch.
And you don't hear Sharon playing her organ or piano. That silence is painful. In this close-knit town, they grieve every day. Geoffrey despises that 100-year storm that took his wife of 29 years away from him. A year later, he still can't look at the creek, but he hasn't left the place he called home with Sharon for so many years.
Yeah, it's a great place. Sharon liked to sit on the porch here.
And though surrounded by support,
in the grief and the horror of this experience we were going through, we bonded together.
There's no making peace with Irene for Susan or Geoffrey or anyone else here.
Natural disaster of some sort, it's always a possibility.
Geoffrey Stein decided to leave town for the day. Too painful to be so close to where this happened. Neighbors say at some point down the road they do hope to have a memorial service for Sharon near that creek.